Hi, everybody. It's Professor Jen. I want to say welcome to the middle of the class. You've done a great job so far moving through this class. I know that you are all working on your own. I can see the work coming in. It's great to see. And I hope you've had a little bit of fun of reading about a topic that's interesting to you, reading through articles, and writing an annotated bibliography. And so now you get to start putting it together into a research paper. This week I've got an example of a research paper for you in this module. This is from a student who gave me permission to use it in one of my previous courses. And it's a paper on body image in the metaverse. And it was something that she was interested in writing about, thinking about will our distortions and kind of dysmorphic treatment of body image, will it continue in the metaverse? And so that's what she researched. This is a really good example of a paper because it's cut into sections, and those sections are important, and I'll encourage you to take a look at them. We're going to write 2 of the sections this week. You're going to write your literature review and your methods, okay? And then next week we'll write the next couple of sections, and then the final sections, okay? So we're not going to write this paper from start to finish. I recommend when doing research that you do what you've done so far. You do some background. You write your positionality statement. You'll use all that in your final paper, so hold on to it, okay? Then you write your annotated bibliography. That now has prepared you to put together a literature review, meaning a review of the things that you've read. So you're going to look back at your annotated bibliography this week. And so if you haven't done that assignment, make sure you do it, because you're going to use that coming into now these sections of the paper, okay? Take a look at the sample paper that I've got in this module, and you'll see the different sections: introduction, literature review, methods, discussion of findings, implications for the future, right? There are a whole bunch of sections in there, and I want you to get familiar with them. And you'll see how this author used images and described the images right after putting them in or right before putting them in. She used the sections to guide your reader through your research process, all right? You're going to start with an introduction. We'll write that later. I usually write that at the very end. You're going to end with a conclusion. We'll write that later. Right now, we're going to take, since you're fresh off of reading all the research that you've done, all the articles, now you're going to put them together in a cohesive manner, meaning of the articles that you read, were there major themes that emerged? You want to sit down. Sometimes I create a graph, a little like hand-drawn chart, and I'll put my list of articles down the side, down in the first column. And then I'll figure out what was the major theme, and I'll write that as a column heading in the next one, and then I'll look at the next article. Did it have the same theme? Did it have the same theme? And I'll start to cross-reference the articles that I've read with the themes that emerged. Then you're going to sit down. You're going to write a literature review. Now, this is a section that probably hasn't been taught yet in many classes, but it's a really important thing to learn to do as a researcher. You want to be able to communicate to your reader the themes that emerged during your own reading, your own research, and what the importance of them was. Where do you go to look for these things? Go back to your annotated bibliography. Remember I said last week you'll use it? This is what I mean. You don't have to reread the articles. Go back to your annotated bibliography and read what you wrote in there. What were they about? Do you see any common threads? If so, I want you to learn from the author that I've given you the sample paper of. That student, she did a really good job of collecting a couple of major themes and then discussing what each author said. And the phrasing that she used, it's like she's telling you what each author said by referencing what they said. You can use quotes or you can paraphrase, and then you give credit where credit is due by doing their name in parentheses, name and the year of publication, the year that their article was published, at the very end of the mention of them. Or you can introduce them and say, as Smith and Jones said, and then you can give me what they said. Or, in a research study by Smith and Jones, The findings were that X, Y, and Z. This was also found in research by, whomever the next person is. And so you'll see, I want you to learn by example here. I'm not going to lecture for a long time about how to do this, but by reading the sample literature review that's in the paper that I'm giving you as an example of a very strong paper, you'll see how literature reviews are to be composed, okay? Couple of paragraphs. Each paragraph is a major theme. Now, I'm going to guarantee you, if you begin to structure your research papers the way that this author does, that I taught this author to, introduction, right? Well, you start with an abstract, which is it's actually the summary of the whole paper in one paragraph. You've been reading them in articles that you've been reading if you're doing academic articles. Introduction, literature review, methods, discussion of findings, implications for the future, and conclusion, right? If you structure out your research papers that way, using those section headings, I guarantee you'll begin to see that your ideas are introduced in the introduction, but then before you go on about it, you set yourself up as a researcher. You show your reader that you've done your homework. And so what you're going to do next is a review of the recent literature, the review of the recent writings that you have read on this topic. What that does immediately is it sets up whomever's reading your paper, probably your next professor, to say, I'm not going to just blab on about this and give you my opinion. I'm going to show you what the recent research and recent studies that have been written about in the literature in this field have said, and I'm going to pull them together thematically. So theme number one, whatever it is, whatever emerges, and then you're going to talk about how that was demonstrated in the different articles that you read about. What's the second theme that emerged, right? And then that then allows you to talk about your methods. Your methods of research are that you are reading other people's research. You're going to talk about what kind of keywords you used. What did you use to search? Did you limit the time frame at all? Did you find that there was a lot of stuff available to you? Was there not so much? That's the methods section that you're going to write, okay? Great example in the example paper that's in this module. I selected this paper because I love it. It's a good example of a topic that is frankly very, very specific, which is great in research, but this author did a fantastic job of detailing it out, and she gave me permission to use it. So I thank her for that. Her name is Chiara Bito at a college in New York City. Okay, so this is an assignment for you for this week. You've got to read through the attached paper, okay? And then I want you to model your literature review and methods after what you find in this example paper, right? These are not creative pieces. They're just very factual, very straightforward pieces. And don't stress about, is it perfect? We're going to go into review in a couple weeks, so don't stress about that. All right? So that's your job. Literature review and the methods section. And what I would do is start a Google Doc or start some document, Word doc, whatever, that has the sections laid out and start filling them in, okay? You'll go back and grab your positionality statement and the background, I guarantee it, for your introduction later on, but we'll do that next week, okay? So, and then what I want you to upload this week is that document that has the sections. Many of them will be empty, but I want you to fill in the literature review and the methods this week, and then upload it into the assignment here, okay? All right, I've got a couple more videos that I'll plug in here just for your edification. I hope you're having fun. I'm having a blast reading everybody's work, and I want to introduce you to my kitty cat here. This is little Shuri. Hey, baby girl. Oh, she doesn't like to be woken up. This is Shuri. She's my little baby kitty cat. She's named after Black Panther's sister, T'Challa's sister, because that's my favorite movie. All right, have a great week, everyone. I'll see you online.